every single time that we have parked here and left after our activities, it's full-on brawls in this parking lot.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
I can't believe it. We've seen people yell at each other, like, from their car windows. People get out of their cars because they're so angry at someone taking a spot. This is the Exploring the National Parks podcast with Dirt in My Shoes. My name is Ash, and I'm a former park ranger and the founder of Dirt in My Shoes. I think that the parks are best seen from the trail, and I'm here to make national park trip planning easy.
And I'm John. I carry the kids on the trails, I tell stories, and notice all the things that Ash doesn't care about much, like flowers.
Join us as we show you around America's spectacular national parks.
We're sharing our favorite places, fun facts, adventures, and misadventures.
And we'll even throw in a little trip planning.
Let's start exploring. I cannot believe that we have just passed the 3-year mark of the Exploring the National Parks podcast.
Happy birthday to us.
We made it through the terrible twos.
And it was terrible twos. Just kidding. Actually, the twos were okay. The ones, the zeros, the newborn stage.
The newborn stage was rough.
Oof.
If you've been with us all this time, we would like to personally thank you.
Having a podcast was never part of the plan, really. We didn't grow up wanting to be podcasters or anything, which is why I think the newborn stage was a little rough for us, because it was like, oh, I don't know. We have no idea what we're doing.
Well, it wasn't, but it also wasn't like a regular newborn baby where it's just bound to grow up into a person. It's like, it was a newborn that we have no idea what we want this thing to be.
It may never grow up. No, but you guys have been great. I mean, honestly, the response to this podcast has been so much better than we ever could have imagined. It is so much fun to read through your reviews and your emails and your comments, just saying how much you love listening to it, how happy it makes you, how much more special your national park trips are because of it. So thank you so much. We're truly honored to be able to do this.
I think our ethos is like, we want to help people take amazing, fulfilling, memorable trips to the national parks, because we believe that if people have those types of experiences, they will then in turn want to take care of the national parks.
Yeah.
And they will love them like we do.
And you'll support them, and you'll clean up your trash, and you'll stay on the trails. And if you have money to donate to some of these causes, you know, that's all born out of just an initial love for the parks.
Yeah.
So,
and as we've gone through a lot of the fun facts episodes, and we've talked about a lot of the people that helped to lobby for and advocate for the creation of a lot of these national parks, a lot of them are just people like you and me and regular Joes that just happened to love a specific place.
Yep.
And so thank you for joining us in our love for the national parks.
Yep. So on that note, actually, we are talking about our most recent trip to Acadia National Park today, our Acadia trip report.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was writing down notes for this one, I was like, there's some negativity in here. There was some stuff that happened on this trip that I was not fond of.
Uh-huh. Yes, that is very true.
Did we still love it? Yes. Do we still absolutely adore Acadia National Park? Yes. Will we still give our money to the Conservancy? Yes.
Yes.
But man, oh man, there were a few things in there that had like Ash's least favorite thing written all over it.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
John did fine. It was me. There may have been some tears shed.
Yeah, that's probably true. Well,
it's not probably true.
I was trying to soften the blow a little bit. There was definitely some tears shed.
There were some tears, and so we'll talk about it, but just know not every national park trip is going to be perfect
and
either.
Glamorous.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sometimes we post all the pretty videos and pictures because we want you to want to go there. But today we're going to get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty with a couple of things.
Yes.
Actually, at least half the list,
Yeah.
I feel like is nitty-gritty, but that's okay. It's funny too.
But that's why we're sharing these things, so
Yep.
that maybe you can avoid some of these pitfalls.
Yeah, or just not be so sad when it happens to you.
Adjust expectations.
So today we are discussing the 7 things we learned on our most recent trip to Acadia. We took this trip in July, which when we go to Acadia, we are there in the fall. I love Acadia in the fall. We don't usually go any other time.
Mm-hmm.
So we took a risk. We knew, going in the middle of the summer, obviously, that's the main time for people to go. And so we figured it'd be busy and all the things. What we didn't expect, because we usually visit in the fall, is a couple of different things. So we'll talk about that. But let's start with what I think is one of the funniest ones. And that is number 1 thing that we learned is that the Jordan Pond parking lot is still the unhappiest place on earth.
Oh my gosh. It is undefeated in parking lots around the country.
Every time we go to this parking lot, listen, you got to get there early. It's a huge parking lot, though. It's not like there's not parking.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got there fairly early, not super early, but fairly early. And we had a plethora of spots to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
As in, the whole section we parked in was empty, basically.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's not hard to get parking if you know when to go. If you need help with that, get an Acadia itinerary because I'll walk you through all that. But without fail, after we've done the Jordan Pond path and we've hiked up to the bubbles and we've gotten our popovers and everything, we go back to our car and it is madness.
Absolute mayhem.
But not just the kind that like if you've been to Glacier, for example, and you've been to Logan Pass and you've tried to get parking there, we have literally had people offer to pay us for our parking spot at Logan Pass.
Right. And then when we say no, they just drive on past. They drive
on. They're grumbly, but they drive on, Here at Jordan Pond, every single time that we have parked here and left after our activities, it's full-on brawls in this parking lot.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I can't believe it. We've seen people yell at each other from their car windows. People get out of their cars because they're so angry at someone taking a spot. This time, too, people legit fighting over an empty parking space.
Yeah. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. And guaranteed that experience ruined their national park experience.
Oh my gosh. I know. Well, there goes Dad punching the guy again.
Oh my gosh. It was insane. And it makes me feel so bad because a little bit of a change in plan or things like this never happens, But I love the fact that every time we get to have the experience we want and then we leave.
Yeah. While they all fight over our parking spot.
Yeah.
Seriously. There's this lady, she was so mad this time because we went with John's parents and they pulled out of their parking spot, but John was helping them back out because it is kind of tight. And he was helping them back out and she was waiting for the parking spot, but someone came in from the other side and whipped in and took it. And she was just yelling obscenities out her window,
yeah.
And we're all just whew, that's a rough way to start your day at Jordan Pond.
The electric window cannot roll up fast enough. Just come on.
Let's get out of here, kids. For someone gets mad at our parking spot too. But anyway, it happens every time. Easily avoidable. The crowds are no joke. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. The crowds are no joke in some of these parks. Acadia is one of them. It's a fairly small park. It's in a very high populated area that people want to come visit. We flew into Boston. You're only 4 hours from Boston, from Acadia.
Yeah.
And it's not that bad to drive up there. So you do get a lot of people coming up here, especially in the summer. And the crowding is for real. But there are very specific things that you can do to avoid that will just make your trip so much better. So That's what we walk you through in the Acadia itinerary on Dirt in My Shoes. If you don't want to get in a parking lot brawl, go get that itinerary and I will help you avoid that. Because it really, Jordan Pond, man. Jordan Pond every time.
Yep. Well, that's a good place to start. Number 2, this is the one.
Speaking of tears.
Yeah, exactly. No brawls, but there was definitely balls.
No.
BAWLS? No.
Oh. I was like, I don't have balls. Balling.
Yes,
balls. I gotcha.
BAW. So
okay.
Crying. There was definitely some crying because of this one. Fog. We didn't expect it. It was thick for days, which is why it elicited the tears.
I had some very specific things that I needed photos and videos of. We take these trips not just for fun, but to work.
Mm-hmm.
We work in these parks. And it was very, very difficult for me to deal with the fog this trip.
Because for days, we couldn't see more than like 8 feet in front of us.
Yeah,
like all of our pictures were just blank white. All of our videos were Ash walking into blank white. I was like, Ash, don't follow the light.
I deleted them all. I was like, this sucks. This is the worst. No, but when you visit in the fall, the fog isn't as much of an issue.
Right.
The summer it is, and I was not prepared for days on end of fog. I thought, maybe we'll get like a day or two here or there. But it was for days. And we got our Cadillac Summit reservations to drive up there. And we got up there and it was just fog. And unfortunately, that does happen fairly often. And I think that's where you have to be pretty flexible. There are certain times that you want to try to get up Cadillac Mountain so that you're not dealing with the crowds again, and you have to have a reservation, which puts higher stakes on, well, we have our reservation for this time. This is when we have to be there. And if the weather's not good,
right.
I made these reservations months ago.
Right. There's a lot of things you can't plan for.
Yeah. And so with Cadillac Mountain, we had our pre-made reservations, but then I also left some time in the schedule, mainly evenings, to be able to get some last-minute reservations for the summit drive so that we could go up later when the weather was better, hopefully, crossing our fingers. And it did work out, but I think there was just a lot more flexibility needed to deal with the weather than I was anticipating. I'm not a super flexible person. I don't know if you guys know me that well or can tell. I really like my plans. So the fog did elicit some balls this trip.
Yeah. We worked our way through it. We still had a wonderful time.
And like I said, we left some space to be able to go up to Cadillac Mountain again. And that worked. We were up there for sunset and it was gorgeous. It was so beautiful. So that worked out. One of the days we drove down to the seawall area and it was just like we could barely even see where we were driving. The fog was so thick. And so I cried and then I said, let's go mini golfing instead. And so we just kind of scrapped those plans and went mini golfing, which is what our kids wanted to do anyway. The Pirates Cove one. It's really fun.
It's really fun.
But so we scrapped that. And then there was another day we went to Little Cranberry Isle and you have to take a boat out there. It's a ranger-led boat tour. And we got there and it was just fog. Like we checked in for our boat tour and just straight fog. And the people were like, do you still want to go? And it's like, yes, I guess we'll still go. And I'm really glad we did because it ended up, even though we couldn't see like a lot of the further out stuff, it was fantastic anyway. Like we still had a great time. We got our blueberry donuts from Colonel's, went on the boat. We saw a whole bunch of seals. We got to get to Islesford on Little Cranberry and go explore that, which was really cool. We saw kind of a lighthouse.
Yeah.
We saw the Some Sound, which is a fjord. We learned about that from the park ranger.
Yeah, not
a fjord, a fjord.
Yep. We got to experience the necessity of a giant foghorn.
That was scary because I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to die out here. All these boats are going to run into us.
I know. It was wild.
But the foghorns were alive and well and working, so...
Yeah, but I think just the necessity sometimes, especially when the weather doesn't cooperate. A lot of times we'll still go out in rain, but fog is newer too. It's something that we don't deal with at home very often. And so dealing with fog, you kind of have to scrap plans and create new and adjust the plan a lot depending on what you're expecting, because the fog did have benefits sometimes because it was really nice to hike in compared.
Yes. Which brings us to number 3. The fog finally lifted after a few days. And I was like, oh my gosh, the sun, finally. Okay, now we can go out and do all the things.
Mm-hmm.
And number 3 thing that we learned is Ash does not do well in humidity. So
I have never seen Ash dripping like I have seen her sweaty before, but this was a different level.
As a woman who is a sweaty woman, it feels a little personal that I'm so sweaty. It's just like, I should not be. I should glow like they say I'm supposed to.
You shimmer.
No, I don't shimmer. I drench. So I already, like, when we're hiking and stuff, usually I'm much sweatier than John. But the sun finally comes out, the temperature warms, but the humidity was no joke.
Mm-hmm.
It was so humid. And I kept, like, we'd go out hiking and be like, this is the worst place I've ever been. And I've been to, like...
Everywhere.
And in the summer, and it's like, okay, you know, like Florida... That's not got nothing on Maine in July. I was like, where is all this sweat coming from? I have never sweat so much in my whole life.
Let me tell you something. Ash's eyebrows were doing nothing.
My eyes were stinging because I had so much freaking sweat in my eyes, down my face. I would wipe it off with, like, my shirt, and it would just regenerate.
It was so funny.
There was nothing I could do to keep the sweat out of my eyeballs.
She couldn't have anything in her hands because both her hands were windshield wipers. They were just the whole time, left hand, right hand, wax on, wax off, sweat all day long.
My kids are like, Mom, what's wrong with you? I don't know. Let's just get done with this stupid hike.
Oh, man. I don't know if Ash has ever lost that much antioxidants, but it was definitely pounds of antioxidants.
And then I'm cursing the blue skies. It's like, I want the fog back. I would so much rather have the fog.
I know.
So we progressively got up closer and closer to the sun coming up.
Oh.
As these sunny days came, it was like we hiked a little bit later, not super late, but later. The first day the sun came out. And that was when I was like, oh, heck no. Like, if the sun is out, it's too late.
Oh my gosh.
For me to be out hiking. And so the remaining days we got up, like, we just got up before the sun. We got out there. We got on the trail as early as we possibly could so that I wasn't, sweating out my eyeballs.
And honestly, we had some of the best experiences on some of these trails because
nobody else was out there.
We were the only ones on the trails. I mean, the first mile on some of these trails was a little tricky because it was pitch black. But
it was worth it. At least I could see better than when I had the sweat dripping into my eyes.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, it made me so sad.
It was so funny. When we had the fog, we were wishing for clear skies. When we had the clear skies, we were like, maybe just a little fog.
Some fog would be nice right about now. So, yeah, there you go. That's summer in Acadia. The weather was insane. I mean, it really was. It just fluctuated so much because when the fog was there, it was like 60 degrees. When it was gone,
125.
It was hell. But I could not believe how much the humidity affected me.
Yeah. It was pretty
Middle
funny.
of the summer in Maine, never going back unless there's something I can swim in.
Oh, man.
Besides my own sweat.
So those are some of the weather-related things that we learned. You can sort of look at the forecast and maybe plan around a little bit.
Nope. I would have planned better. No, just kidding. Just expect to have to make adjustments.
Yep. The fourth thing that we learned on this trip is you need to leave Bar Harbor to get the best lobster. Oh my gosh, we ate so much lobster on this trip.
Yeah, we did.
Both for taste and ambiance, though, we decided Bar Harbor is not the place for us to eat lobster.
Yeah, downtown Bar Harbor is really hard to find something good. It's very touristy. Lots of people stay down there and eat down there and stuff, but we've just not had super great experiences.
Mm-hmm.
We did find a new place this time that wasn't there last time we were there, Peaky Toe.
Mm-hmm.
So good. And we got lobster rolls there and it was really good, but everything we got was really good.
The chowder was amazing.
Yeah, and it was just right off the Village Green, but it wasn't down towards the water where all the more touristy stuff is, but it was just right there. So that was a good option. But we really like going out to some of these smaller communities away from Bar Harbor. There are two dueling lobster pounds, kind of two main ones, when you stay on Mount Desert Island, but you're not in Bar Harbor. And one of them is Beals, and one of them is Thurston's. And they are both really cool.
Yeah.
And super delicious. But we did the duel. We tried them both back to back one night and then another night. And I think we both agreed we liked the lobster rolls at Beals better. Correct? You agree?
Yes.
Okay.
We both liked that better, but we thought that one had better ambiance than the other.
So for Beals, I liked the lobster roll better. It was a hot lobster roll, but they also have a huge menu. So if you don't like lobster, they had haddock, which our son loved. He's not a huge fan of lobster. But just lots of other fish and stuff that you can get.
Which we should point out that if someone doesn't like lobster,
don't buy them lobster.
It's so
too expensive.
It's way too expensive
to be feeding someone who doesn't.
Especially
like
for
it.
Your kids, if they're only it's fine. Then they're getting
nope, haddock for you.
Yes, exactly.
Much cheaper.
I'm making you a tuna sandwich and we're taking it to the restaurant.
Well, and our youngest son, he's pretty sensitive. So
our more picky eater.
Well, he is, and he loves creatures. He loves animals and he loves babies. And I don't know, he
bought a stuffed animal of a lobster. And then he felt bad every time I ate lobster. And so if he would have bought...
it doesn't help that at these lobster pounds, the lobsters are alive first.
Yeah.
You choose your lobster, right? And so they have them all in the front crawling around. And he's just got his big puppy dog eyes. And he's like, Mom, those lobsters are so cute. We can't eat them.
Said nobody really ever. Nobody ever looks at a lobster and is just like, oh, what a cute little creature.
Except for our son. And John's like, it's just a big bug and it tastes delicious.
Exactly.
So anyway, but Beals was better for him too because they had other options that he could choose from. And it still is it's right on the water. And it's in Southwest Harbor. And you can see all the boats, all the lobster ships coming in and out and stuff. There's lots of lobstering all around you. So that's super cool. But we did feel like Thurston's, and this one's in Bass Harbor, so it's a little bit around the island. That one for me had a funner ambiance.
Yeah, because Beals was a bit more industrial.
Yeah, and Thurston's, you were it had more 180-degree views of the harbor.
Yeah, you see all the sailboats and you see all the lobster boats, and it's mostly opened up out into the harbor, and you just have the breeze coming through.
Yeah,
it was really nice.
Screened-in eating area over the water, so that was really cool. Whereas at Beals, you're just kind of on the pier with kind of a view.
Yeah.
But at Thurston's, we watched while we were eating, we were watching a lobster boat load all their traps onto it and stuff. Like, they're going out lobstering. That's what you're eating that night. You know, it's pretty cool.
It was really fun.
But what I had written in my notes about Thurston's is cold lobster rolls. Yuck. So they didn't have the warm lobster rolls, which is what I like, the ones with butter.
Yes.
The cold ones have like the mayo, and I was like, bleh. Nope, not a fan. But John did get a full lobster to crack himself, and it was delicious. I hate that process. I have a really hard time eating while I'm watching him, like, I don't know,
break open parts of the body and
I'm
stuff
just like
that.
Mystery liquids are shooting across the table. And,
right.
You know,
and
it's
twist
just like,
off,
yeah.
Twist off the abdomen and
all the crunching.
It was so funny. And Dad, I love you so much, but you definitely were. My dad is one of the people that's just like, ooh, look at that nice green goo, you know.
Well, he was a police officer for a long time, so I think like things that normally are not like, you don't talk about this. Your dad has never had a hard time talking about it.
He calls it dark humor. You know, it's like it's a little bit of a dark humor just to kind of get through tough situations. And so like, we're eating a lobster. I'm breaking it open. Ash is having a hard time, and my dad's making jokes about it.
I'm like dry heaving over there, and his dad's like, look at that green guts and blah, 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 you know? And I was like, I hate you. Stop talking about it.
I'm just watching Ash's face turn progressively more green, and I'm like, I just got to eat this lobster really fast.
I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go take a turn about the room. I'll be back later.
I need a whoopie pie right now to help me with this.
No, so anyway, but that was really good at Thurston's, but their menu is pretty small, so it wasn't as good for our son who didn't want lobster, and even like our other son, where it was like, what are you going to eat? Because we don't want to spend $40 on a lobster for you. You know,
Yeah.
It's like, so the variety of food there wasn't as good, but the ambiance was beautiful. It was spectacular. So
right.
Anyway, go check them both out and let us know what you think, because you do need to leave Bar Harbor to have those experiences, and it's totally worth it.
Absolutely. Number 5 is that Schoodic Point is one of the most underrated places in the park. It's incredible.
I think John would spend his whole time in Acadia just on the Schoodic Peninsula.
Oh my gosh. You leave the main stuff and you head over to a quieter place, but it's like you get to go out on these rocks and you just get to stand there while the waves crash. And it's so much fun. And I've mentioned this before, but there is a volcanic layer of rock that's in there.
In the fun facts, I think you talk about this. So go listen to that, because after John taught me that, and then we went back to Schoodic Point this trip, I was like, holy smokes, this is so cool.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I know. It makes it look so cool. And so, but yeah, Schoodic Point, it's so beautiful. Like in all weather. We've been there in multiple weather situations, and it's always gorgeous. Sometimes the waves crash harder than others, and you got to hold on to your kids a little tighter.
As if that would help if it swept you in. Oh my gosh. It's an angry sea.
It is.
Every time we go out there, I'm like, all it would take is one big wave.
I know.
So I stay way far back, but it's pretty cool.
It's so much fun. And the rocks are so pretty. And the whole place, you usually share it with just a few other people.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, that's kind of where everybody congregates along the Schoodic Peninsula, because it's the crowning glory. But I just think that when you go to Acadia, give yourself time to do the main stuff near Bar Harbor on Mount Desert Island. Like, you need to do that stuff because it really is spectacular. But Acadia has a lot of outlying areas that are much quieter that people don't know about. And Schoodic Peninsula is one of those. I mentioned we took the boat out to Little Cranberry. There's all sorts of little islands out there that are technically still part of the national park, or at least portions of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really cool way to get away from the crowds. Isle of Ho. There's some pretty sweet options for having a different experience in Acadia without all the people.
I know. And like your first visit, you almost always have to do all the busy stuff. But if you give yourself just a little bit of more time, it was amazing. I took a lot more time this time analyzing kind of the coastline of Maine to kind of see the place that Mount Desert Island has just in the Maine coastline in general. It really is this specific area with the Mount Desert Island, the Schoodic Peninsula, kind of up from Portland. There's a million islands here. And if you can just get away from some of the main stuff, you can really experience the beauty that a lot of people like Rockefeller wanted us all to experience in a very specific way.
Yeah, there's a reason all those rich people came up here. But yeah, it's beautiful. We love Schoodic Point. I mean, we just could spend forever just watching the waves from there. So just our friendly reminder, go to the main stuff. Don't skip the popular stuff. It's popular for a reason. But give yourself some breaks in your schedule that allows you to get to some of these other quieter spots too. And we do cover that in the Acadia itinerary as well, actually. We'll get you out there. So I think it's important to have balance. It's like, I want you to go to Jordan Pond, but I want you to not get, in a parking lot fight while you're there. But then I also want to put in a hike that not a lot of people know about, or an area that not a lot of people know about, so that you can have a break from stuff like that too.
Mm-hmm. A really balanced trip.
Yep. Okay. Speaking of needing a break from.
Oh my gosh.
So number 6, the 6th thing we learned, and we already knew this, but sometimes you just double verify, triple verify.
Yeah, you go at different times to see if maybe there's a better time to go. There isn't. Just so everybody knows, there is not a better time to do this one.
Number 6, you had better love lighthouses to put up with the Bass Harbor Head situation. Okay. Bass Harbor Head Lighthouse is beautiful. It's so picturesque, and everybody wants to go there. But I am just constantly flabbergasted that the parking situation here has not been changed in the, 8 years since we went to Acadia the first time?
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. You take this long road. The National Park Service provides a long two-way road.
Barely two-way, with no shoulder.
With no shoulders for parking. And then, so it allows a line of 50 cars to pile up as you approach the Bass Harbor Head Lighthouse. And then you get to the parking lot, and there's 7 spots.
And no outlet.
And no turnaround area.
No turnaround. And so you get there, there's nowhere to park because the spots are always taken. And you have nowhere to turn around. And so what do? You sit and wait in a line of 50 cars until it's your turn, or
there's no good options. There are no good options. We've tried to think about this, and it's just no, you just have to go, and you just have to deal, because it is the worst. Yeah,
it really, and this time it wasn't too bad, honestly. Most of my flabbergastion, is that a word? My flabbergastion was from just having the whole setup still be the same.
Yeah.
I thought they would have changed it since, we've been there several times over the years, but it's just how long has it been? A couple years since we've been to Acadia. And
since the last time, yeah.
But I was just maybe they've changed, maybe they've made it better.
And they never do.
No. What they have done, because the first time we went, people would just park alongside the road in the bushes.
Right.
And
which wasn't good either.
No,
but at least it allowed,
least you could park and get out and go see stuff and then leave.
Right.
Instead of everybody just waiting for 7 parking spots. But since then, they've actually put up a million signs that says, you can't park here, don't park here, we'll tell you, don't park here. And so it's well, what other option do we have? There's, like we said, not a good turnaround, not anything. So
most places, the National Park Service makes it so that you drive through and you circle around and you have to wait in line again.
Yeah,
kind of a situation.
Or at least there's an out so that you don't have to wait if you don't want to. There's
some type of flow.
Yeah.
There is no flow.
No flow. It's totally backed up, constipated.
That is a great way to describe this parking lot.
That's how it feels.
It is so constipated.
And you're in the same amount of pain, so.
But we haven't seen people fight here.
No, it's
most
not
people
like
are just
Johnny
like,
Pot.
I think people are mostly
We're just
like
resigned and sad.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but anyway, so if you really love lighthouses and you want to see that one, fine. Choose your times wisely. People love to be here for the sunset. You're going for the sunset, like you're coming 5 hours early, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not going to get a spot. You can't just show up at sunset.
Yeah.
We like to go not at sunset anymore.
Also, something we realized, too, to think about is check the tides for this one, too.
Yeah.
Because we found this last time we came at kind of a high tide and
you couldn't get the right angle for your photo.
Yeah.
Because the water level was too high. You couldn't get low enough on the rocks to get the angle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a surprise, too. You're right. Is it worth it, John?
Yes.
It is.
But I'm complaining.
I know. It's such a pretty lighthouse.
I will continue to complain until the Park Service fixes it. So.
All right. I agree with you. We'll just be the squeaky wheel that keeps complaining. Somebody listen to us. So that was the first 6 things we've learned. Number 7, and the final thing that we've learned about Acadia National Park this trip, is that standing on top of a mountain in Acadia is seriously one of the best feelings in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that, first of all, standing on a mountain here is not as scary, which I appreciate, as some of the other big mountain parks. But second of all, I was thinking about this. I think because you're not on like a huge mountain.
Right.
You're closer to your view. If that makes sense. And so it's like you're standing on a mountain, you have beautiful 360-degree views, but it's all still just like there. You still feel surrounded by it instead of like on top looking down.
Well, it's like if you're on the top of a mountain in the West, you're thousands and thousands of feet higher than stuff. Here, you can still see the sails on the schooner ship out on the ocean.
Yeah, we were watching boats come in and out of Bar Harbor from the top of Cadillac.
Right.
And it was really beautiful.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like it's so fun. You feel like, I'm part of this seafaring community.
Yeah.
You know, you're watching all the boats come in and out. You're seeing all these different kinds of islands. You're seeing all the different bays and coves that the land forms here.
Yeah.
And it's just such a unique experience. And from any of the mountains, you can see different stuff.
Yeah. So some of our favorites, I mentioned Cadillac Mountain. That one's great if you just want to drive to the top. And then you can walk around. And those are honestly some of my favorite views in Acadia, even though it's a really popular spot.
Yeah.
And it's not a hike.
Yeah.
I love the views from up there. The Beehive, obviously, is a great option. What I noticed as we were mountain hiking this time, the blazes, you know, in the West, we don't do blazes, which is like the paint stripes on the trees and rocks and stuff to show you your route. And so when we go east, we're always kind of like, we don't know how to read blazes. We don't know. We don't know anything about blazes. But it was just funny this time as we were hiking. I think the Beehive and Gorham Mountain, which is another favorite mountain hike of ours. I was like, they really need to stop using very similar colors of blue.
Right. I know. You made fun of me once for getting lost hiking by myself.
I know.
But the colors, they're like light gray, light blue, which looks kind of like gray.
It's like sky blue, light blue, aqua blue, robin's egg blue. And it's like, I don't know. These are pretty close together. So I thought that was funny this time.
Yep.
But
I felt a little bit justified in getting lost once.
Maybe it was just all the sweat running into my eyes, messing with my vision. But anyway, so Cadillac Mountain, the Beehive, South Bubble, Gorham Mountain, Acadia Mountain, like so many good ones.
Yeah.
So many good ones. And then if you want like a longer trail, there's some pretty intense longer hikes to the top of the mountains you can do too.
Yeah.
The Precipice, Pematic, other ones like that too. So anyway, lots of great mountain hikes, so many good ways to enjoy it. And I think that it's my favorite way to summit mountains. I think that Acadia Mountains are my favorite summits of mountains.
Yeah, you're not a big, like, mountain checker off of your lister.
No, because I'm very unsure on my feet. I don't like scree fields or like steep drop-offs or anything that I feel like if I trip and fall, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, and so I do actually really enjoy hiking to the top of the mountains in Acadia because I get that rush still, but it's like attainable for me without freaking me out.
Yeah.
So.
But that's just also one of the testaments to how diverse and fun this national park is, because you can be on the ocean, you can be on a freshwater, beautiful pond, you can climb up you go through forests, you can summit mountains, you know. You can even be out on the water in boats and doing things like that. There's so much you can do here. And I don't know. I think that's one of my favorite parks to explore based on the diversity of activities.
Absolutely. So head to Acadia. It's definitely worth the trip. For your task today, head over to the Dirt in My Shoes Facebook or Instagram pages. We'll have a post there about Acadia, and chime in if you've been and let us know something that you've learned or something you want to share with everybody to enhance all of our trips going forward. Tell us a story. Let me know if you cried because of fog or if you witnessed a parking lot brawl at Jordan Pond. But anyway, go chime in there. We'd love to hear from you.
And if you're enjoying the podcast, please give us a 5-star review. It really helps spread the podcast to more national park lovers. And this week, if you get a chance, go get some dirt in your shoes.